Okay. I'm so excited to be able to have this opportunity to interview you, my talented artist mother.
Thank you for having me, talented artist daughter.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just start right off with the first question.
Okay.
So, what things and like what people, like what exactly influences your current aesthetic of your artwork?
What people, like what other artists?
No,
Um,
it can be anything. Like, what is it? Like, is it a person? Is it an object? Is it a style? Like, what is it that influences you and your aesthetic?
um, I think currently it's always evolving, right? It's always changing. But currently, uh, I'm I'm really into doing these large room interiors. I kind of want this experience, and I don't know how to say it. It's like it's just really fun. It brings me joy to make these like big paintings of these room interiors and put different objects in it that all kind of have these different stories about it. I'm very influenced and really love the masters of creating room interiors like Jeremiah Goodwin and Goodman, sorry, and Cecil Beaton. I'm obsessed with him. Uh, I love the colors of Matisse. Just
Mhm.
so it's kind of I went from creating these little small watercolor room interiors to making these really large paintings, and I'm just kind of playing with all of that, and it's growing. So what influences me is me. Like I'm not really looking outside of myself for anything other than what I want to express. I just
I love that.
yeah.
Beautiful.
I don't think I answered that very well, but I,
No, that's really great.
I think it's really like the first time in my life that I'm truly just putting down what makes me happy and not really having doing it for a client or to sell it or just it's just putting out work that makes me happy and brings me joy when I'm creating it.
That's incredible. I love that. That's the best answer, I think.
Well, I think early on, a lot of artists will look to other artists to see like what they should be doing, or they, I mean, many start by just copying what someone else is doing. And that is, and if you're not selling it, that is one way that you can kind of learn to figure out who you are as an artist. And, over time, like I used to paint room interiors that were actually real jobs I was designing or of an interior designer that I really loved their room, and I would paint that room. But as I started doing it more fluidly and more daily, I was like, well, what if the walls were pink? And what if I had these lanterns hanging in it? And then they just kind of turned into their own little things. And even while I'm painting it, it turns into its own little thing. It changes from my original thought, and I just kind of go with it. So now taking it into this big, larger scale, I'm just letting it all be what it wants to be and not looking to anybody, but myself when I'm doing it.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I love
Well,
that.
I don't know, maybe I could have figured it out sooner. I think that's really, I think for a young artist starting out, what's really helpful is to know what your point of view is and what is it that you want to say when you're creating something, whether it's for a client or for yourself. Like why why are
Yeah,
you doing this? And my why right now is just to create a joyful experience.
wow. That like leads right into the next question, which is what do you want your artwork to make people feel? So,
Well, I thought that was really interesting when you came over and saw one of the paintings I had been working on. You said to me that it was like an experience,
yeah.
and I I love that so much because I thought about it for a while after you had said that, and I remember one of the things I used to love to do is like go for walks at like twilight when you could just see in people's houses and you could smell dinner cooking. You're like, ooh, I wonder who lives there. And like, especially when we would walk in the hills of like Piedmont with these gorgeous Julia Morgan houses, and you're just like, who lives in those houses? They're so majestic and magical, and just it's that when I'm creating that room, that's why I don't put people in the room, because I want you to be in the room and experience what is happening in this room. And if, for me, when I'm making it and creating it, it's joy. Like that's it's just bringing me so much happiness that I'm hoping that when you go into that experience, that you have a moment of respite and you have some joy. If you're scrolling through Instagram and you're seeing all this stuff about COVID and stuff, and then all of a sudden you see something beautiful and it kind of makes your heart flutter, and you just go, for that moment, you have a second of a reprieve.
Absolutely. I think that really shines through in your work.
Thank you.
Very beautiful.
Thank you.